Good morning, everyone. A very quick check. Can you hear me? Can I get a response in chat, please? Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks for the confirmation. So again, thanks again, everyone, for joining the session, which is data analytics using Power BI. So thanks again for waiting for a while. We're still waiting for some of the participants to join. So the topic for today would be a platform that what we are going to see how Power BI can be used to analyze the data and how it can be used for the analysis as well as getting the insights from the data, right? So Power BI, most of you know, is one of the emerging platform, again emerging tool developed by Microsoft. So most of the companies right now they are trying to actually move their platform to the Power BI, even if they are using another platforms, another BI tools like Tableau or the Click. The reason behind is, first of all, the cost. Power BI is much cheaper than the other tools. Second, it's very user friendly. Third, it has a lot of enhancements that what Microsoft is doing. So it is adding new features and very nice, presentations and all that what we can do. So let's talk more about the session. So before that, just wanted to know. So basically, we are going to interact today using the chat functionality here in Zoom. Again, please write your questions, post your questions, queries in the chat box. We will going to answer at the end, or even if you have any problems, we can definitely see the chat and then we can respond to you immediately as well. Okay, quick check from where we are dialing today. Can I get the name, your country, please? Hello, Nick from Canada, Ireland. Hi, Aarti. Hi, Selna. Malaysia, Chicago, Pakistan, Australia, India, Hong Kong, Philippines. Great, guys. Thank you so much for joining from different parts of the world. So basically, here it is at 10 a.m. In the morning. I hope you all have different time zones. So thanks again for taking out your time and attending this session. So basically, let's talk a little bit about first ourselves. So we are Exaltius, and we are a technology and data-driven company. Sorry. So our expertise lies in the data side. Data side, when I say it's a data engineering, your data science, data analytics, the big data platforms that what we get, and also the cloud technology. We try to provide the very customized software solutions to our clients here in Singapore or in the other Southeast Asia regions as well. Most of our things are on AI platforms that what we create using the machine learning technologies and all the cutting edge technologies. In terms of the trainings, we have conducted a lot online sessions as well as the offline sessions, is being it workshops, be it for the different training institutes, be it for the corporates across all the regions. And our trainers are also from industry, so always we try to bridge the gap between the what is the academic side and what's the actually we are using in industries. We always try to take real business use cases, the data set as well. Some of our clients, be it in banking sides, like we have the UOB, the DBS, be it retail side, you have NTOC, fair price and all, or be it your institutes like NUS, NTU, SMU, Kaplan, and also what we try to cover for all of them, right? We provide services to all of them. Some of the glimpses that what we used to conduct before the COVID situation was our face-to-face trainings. Because of that, we have some glimpses here, and after that we are converting. We are just doing a lot of online trainings only. So without wasting time, let's just hear from our speaker today. So our speaker will be ROC, and she will be going through all the concepts and the demo as well. So over to you, ROC.
Yeah, thanks, Pranjal, and welcome everyone. It's good to see all connecting from different countries, and we are all here. So, welcome everyone, and today we are going to talk about data analytics using Power BI. So, in today's session, we'll be covering mostly on basics of data analytics, an introduction to Power BI, and followed by a demo, Power BI demo. So to start with, of course, with Power BI and data analytics, it's very important to understand when we are talking about data analytics, we need to understand about data actually. So data is something, which we are coming across in our daily lives. We are coming across a lot of data. So let me try to share my screen with you all. Okay, so we are coming across almost this data every day. So can you just imagine how much data we are creating, every single day? So it's almost around 2.5 quintillion. So that's a, large number actually. And it's basically very important for any organizations or any industries to deal with this data. So finally, we want to actually check up on how to organize and how to maintain this data, of course. So we are going towards more of data analytics, of course. So as you can see here, when we are talking about data, of course, data can be in any form. It could be a text, or it could be a number, or it could be any image or any picture. So any piece of information can be seen as data. So data science has actually given a rise to handle this large volumes of data actually. And it's really significant growth can be seen in data science and analytics as of now. So let's try to see this. I mean, we can from this diagram, what you can see from this graph is data volume is increasing on a yearly basis. It's really going on. So it's like explosion of data on a yearly basis. So how to control this data? Finally, it's very important for us to finally control this data. So you can also see here there are various devices connected to internet. Of course, we have IoT devices, we have IoT remotes, and as you can see, the graph for this IoT devices is going on increasing on day by day basis. So of course, the data storage cost, as it's also affecting the data storage cost, it's going on decreasing, on a decreasing trend. So all this has given rise to data science, of course. And as you can see here, we have heard about the terms like artificial intelligence, then machine learning, deep learning. So what's it's all about? As you can see from this graph here, there is an increasing trend for artificial intelligence and machine learning. So almost all industries, are trying to go in and trying to implement and imbibe artificial intelligence or machine learning. So just in a quick overview of what it's all about, I mean, machine learning and deep learning actually. So an example I would like to give here is something like uh, for the machine learning. Imagine a robo, who has been instructed to cross the road. Actually, is helping, let's say, some blind people to cross the road. So machine learning is something in which the robo knows that when he's trying to cross the road, there is some obstacle. But deep learning will be something like the robo knows more than that. Like when he's trying to cross the road, knows that there is an obstacle and what to do after knowing that there is an obstacle. So there is more advanced algorithms, or I can say deep, more complex algorithms in deep learning. So always it's many industries or many organizations are more going across machine learning, of course, because the algorithms are simple to use and they are very cost effective. I mean, deep learning will of course be more cost effective. It will not be so much industries will not be going in, but of course deep learning will allow more complex instructions for any machine to go on. So it's important to know what is this, what's the difference. So we are not going into more details of all this, but of course artificial intelligence has captured almost all of our data analytics as of now. So yeah, so when we talk about data, of course, now whenever we are talking about data, there is some insights or there are some observations what we are actually coming across. So I assume that when we say data equal to insight, it's do you agree that it's true? It's of course true that data equal to insight is very much true. Okay, so yeah, of course. Yeah, true. I'm getting some answers. True. Yes. Yeah, that's good to know. Yes, of course. So now, whenever we are going across, you're getting some insights with the data. It's very important to understand the workflow, what the data goes on. So it's very important that it goes through some stages whenever we are going to acquire some insights. So it is not that I get the data and directly I get to some insight. There is some stages or the workflow which data goes across. So basically, as you can see here, data workflow. So basically we try to frame. So whenever we have some data or a data set, let's say we have a data set about sports, or we have data about some sales or an e-commerce portal. So normally whenever we have a data, we have some assumption to look at this data. We have some assumption like, okay, I need to see the how the overall sales is going on in a particular region or something. So we call it as an assumption is called as more on less as an hypothesis. So we have an hypothesis, we have as an assumption for your analysis to go on. And as you have an assumption, you try to prepare accordingly. You try to prepare and select and try to import this data, get this data from different data sources. I think you have come across the word data sources. Data source, nothing but it could be some Excel file, or it could be any SQL server or anything. And once you have prepared the data, you have selected, imported this data. The main part of data analysis is always data cleaning, of course. And data cleaning is nothing but you are trying to have a clean data set at the end of the day. So that is basically, something like taking care of the blanks or taking care of the duplicates. So that is all about cleaning of the data. So it is going through the stages, like we have an hypothesis and accordingly we try to collect and import the data. So this data, if you have heard of, it could be collected through questionnaires or it could be collected through social media. So we have different sources to collect this data and prepare this data. So once we have this data, we of course try to analyze and visualize this data. So analyze is something like we are coming to the term as insights. So we are basically trying to with the different graphs or pictorials, we are trying to analyze this data. Interpret is something like we are trying to have some insights. Like let's say I'm talking about or looking at the sales train graph, how it is going for the years for a particular organization. So the CEO may be more interested to know, how the sales is going along the different regions or for a particular year. So that is particular insight what I'm getting. So it is very important at this stage to interpret the data. And of course, communicating the data is becoming another different an important part also. So whenever you have an insight, it is important for us to know how you're trying to communicate this insight to the audience. Okay, so it's very important. Okay, and so that is all about, we are talking about the data workflow. So whenever you have a data, you have to undergo to the different stages of this data. And analytics is nothing but actually trying to communicate, the meaningful patterns actually. So whenever we are trying to deal with analytics, there are different analytic techniques being used, like we have clustering analytics, or there are different types, break even analysis. So we are not going into more details of it, but of course it is something which can be understood as an connective tissue between data and effective decision making, of course. So whatever your insights and finally whatever your insight is predicting is very important to the organization. Like let's say suppose a particular branch is not performing well for a particular organization. So that insight has to be seen by the higher management, that the particular branch is not working well, and accordingly they can have the decision making. So that is what we say, analytics is important from the term of, getting the best business outcome, to understand what will be the best business outcome. So that is why we have analytics actually. So as you can see here, there is a roadmap. Okay, so I want you to just see this figure, actually what it's indicating. So we can see here it is going through a roadmap. Okay, so as you can see here, the roadmap, we can see that it all gives an idea, like we are having something like what has happened and why did it happen, what will happen, and what is the best outcome that could be happening. Okay, so when we say what has happened is basically something like the historical or the previous part what we have deal with. Normally whenever we have a data set or we have any data that is called as a raw data, of course, then we try to clean the data, try to explore it more, and try to transform the data. If you have heard of data modeling, okay, so all it comes across what has happened. So with the help of this we can create, once you have a clean data, you can have standard reports based on it, or you have uh, ad hoc reports based on it. Okay, I have some question from Nisreen. um Not able to see your screen. Are you all able to see my screen here? Yes. Okay, okay. Thanks for knowing that. Asta, Mohsin, Rajesh, thank you. Okay, maybe what you can do is, if you are not able to share, maybe I will try to reshare my screen so that you can, those who are not able to see it, me can see it in a more proper way. Okay, let me know if you are not able to see this. Okay, fine. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Okay, so I hope you are getting this basics of analytics, what we are talking about. Okay, so just I was talking about the roadmap, what the analytics is going through. So it's basically clean data. We have reports, then we have OLAP, that is nothing but a data mining tool, which we know about. Okay, and basically using many BI tools, we can achieve this. Like you can have some ad hoc reports, or all reporting is taking place in what has happened. Why did it happen is basically because it's something like it is with the help of visuals you are able to understand what has happened and why did it happen. So if basically this is a phase where you are coming to an insights. Okay, so based on these insights you will have some predictive analysis. So again, predictive analysis becomes a very important part of analytics, because predictive analysis, as a term indicates, predictive, you're trying to actually know the future business outcome with the help of predictive analysis. So that plays an important role, of course, in whenever it's analytics is concerned. Okay, so it's important to understand or to predict what will be the best outcome. Okay, so that can be done through predictive modeling, and of course to decide upon what could be the best business outcome out of this insights. So all this roadmap is very important in analytics. So it's, as I said, it's not something like, you have a data and you directly come with some insight. So that insight could be something wrong. So of course it has to go through certain stages. It has to go through certain roadmap so as to achieve the best business outcome. Okay, so let's try to see something. As you can see here, we can see some different domains here. Okay, we are talking about the healthcare, or we are talking about sales, or we have social media, or we have marketing, or we have automation, or we have traveling. So normally whenever we are coming across the different domains, each domain has its unique metrics. So when I'm talking about metrics, it's nothing but it's like a measure which will allow the organization to determine the growth, or it will allow the organization to know what exactly, in what status they are into. Correct. So that is something about the metrics, what I can say. So these are some of, the commonly seen metrics, or the business outcome, or in which any organization will like to go upon. So something like for healthcare, of course, for healthcare, it's very important to know the disease prediction, or we have medication effectiveness. Okay, so all that can be determined. Then for sales, of course, it's discount offering, demand forecasting. Then we have marketing, of course, we have cross seller retention. I hope here today there could be many of you who could be from different domains here. So of course you will know that where and how you need exactly analytics, in what areas you need to focus upon. Like when I'm talking about marketing, it's something about the cross seller retention, or predicting the what are the customer segmentation, what are your potential customers to know about, and churning of the customers, of course. Okay, and Talking about the social media, it's of course the sentimental analysis, which plays an important role. Then digital marketing. Similarly, we have automation where we are trying to actually check upon something like pilotless aircrafts or drones or self-driving cars. So how these domains can be automated. So I think this is, giving you a fair fair idea about how each domain is working out with different metrics, and how analytics is trying to be useful for these domains. Okay. Okay, so next we are coming across the terms called as visualization and storytelling. So whenever I say analytics, it's very important that we have some visualizations, and based on these visualizations, we have some storytelling. Now, visualization is nothing but different ways to actually come to your some part of insight actually. So that will be done with the different visualizations which will be coming across, and storytelling. So of course storytelling is also an important part of data analytics, because whenever you're trying to tell to your audience, or you're targeting your audience, you need to have a impactful story, correct? You need to have that insight to be shown, which is very important. Let's say, as I highlighted, for any organization, let's say you want to highlight the insight that some branch not going on well, and maybe that the business outcome or the CEO might decide upon closing or shutting down of that branch because it's not going on well. Or it could be something like, the CEO deciding upon that how I can make that particular branch go work well. So that are some of the parts. So of course your visualization should be so strong enough that your story is very impactful. It is trying to create an impact, and you exactly know what exactly you're trying to target to. So that are some simple examples what I'm trying to give you to understand these terms, of course. Okay, so basically we are trying to say visual analytics is nothing but it is trying to help me to come out or to see some trend in the business or the growth in the business, or it could be some pointing to at the historical data. So it could be in any terms. Okay, so okay, so looking at this, can anyone tell me how many nines can be seen here? Anyone can make an attempt to see this? I hope you are able to see this. Yes, so I am getting the answers as 6, 8. Okay, that's good. 7. Okay, anyone? Okay, 9. Yes, Vignesh, 9. Okay. Okay, so as you can see here, 8 is the perfect answer actually. 8 is the perfect answer. Okay. So the human usual system. So this is just as we have interpreted by a human, but it's not always necessary. The human visual intervention, I mean, system will be always useful. So you need some better visuals to understand this. This is just an observation, or this is just our visual insight what has been seen, but it's very important that there are different types of visuals, and those are nothing but that can be seen or achieved through different type of graphs. So I hope here everyone has some basics of Excel, and you must be aware of what are these different type of graphs actually. So data visualization is nothing but the presentation of data, of course, in a pictorial or a graphical format. Okay, so let's try to look at this. So maybe I'm giving 1 minute to you for you all to look at this. So this is nothing but actually a diagram where it is representing the different types of charts actually. So you can see there are different types of visualizations can be seen. So it is very important at a time to understand what the different type of charts have been used for. Like suppose if we have, if you want to indicate something, the data between periods, it's best to use the column chart, or the best to line chart, which is indicating a trend, correct? Or if you want to have data or some few categories, or you want to compare some data, then it could be something like a column chart or a bar chart. Then we normally come across some kind of relationship between the variables. So if you have heard of something called as regression analysis, there are different analysis which can be carried out on data. So regression analysis is nothing but it's trying to actually check upon the relationship between different variables. And let's not go into more details of it, but I just want to highlight here, whenever you want to compare the data or you want to find out the relationship, that can be best achieved through either through scatter charts or either through bubble charts. Okay. And distribution, if you have heard of something like the frequency, if you want to find the frequency intervals, that can be best achieved or done by histograms actually. So we have column histograms or we have box plots. So it's like the different visuals that can be used at the specific mode of time when you want to carry out your data analysis, of course, correct. So there are some pie charts. Suppose you are dealing with any static data, we have pie charts, then we have waterfall model. Okay, so these are the different visualization types or charts which are helping you at the end to have your analytics or your insights more in a more better way. Okay, so which type of visualization we should never be used in a business setting? Of course. So any answers from you? Like, what do you think that this kind of visualization cannot be used? That will not reflect more good actually. Okay, I can see some good answers here. Okay, so I have an answer as pie chart. Okay, not a pie chart. I think, yeah, the majority of you, I see it's saying about the 3D chart, of course. So 3D chart is not a very good chart to be used for a business setting as such, because it will not be showing you the correct story, maybe. So it's the 3D chart which cannot be used or which should not be in the business setting. Of course, it's complex. Yeah, Vignesh, true. Yes. Okay, so we want to understand some of the examples further we are going to look at, which are giving information about good visualizations and bad visualizations. So, of course, let's look at this. This is a type of visualization we are coming across. Okay, and as we can see, there are different type of charts. I can see here we have a bubble chart and we have some maps or we have a bar chart. So what do you think, this is a good visualization or is it a bad visualization? Any answers from your side? Do you think that this is a good visualization? Yes. Yes, yeah, yeah. Thanks, Aarti and Asta, Rajesh, yeah, of course. uh Nisreen, yeah, Sadhna. Okay, Sadhna is saying it's average. Okay, yeah, good. Yeah, of course, it's a good visualization because it's giving me a clear idea about what exactly the insight it's talking about. Correct. So let's have a look at the bad visualization. If you see here, I'm not exactly understanding what it's all talking about. There are no headers, of course, there are no data labels. There are legions, but of course, it is taking too much of dimensions to look at. So at the end, we are totally confused to understand this visualization. So of course, this is a bad visualization to be used to get any insight as such. Okay, of course, this is also because this is not giving me a clear picture or an idea what it's all talking about. Correct. So I hope you have got a fair idea about how what exactly we are talking about, the bad and the good visualization. Okay, so let's have a look at this here, the visualization here. Okay, so as you can see here, I can see many things in at a glance, of course, but actually I'm not able to make it out what exactly it's talking about and what area it is trying to focus on. Correct. So there is something which is talking about weather forecast, air pollution. So there is no linkage across this data or no exact message to convey here. Okay, so it looks very complex, of course. Yeah, Musi. So it's difficult to interpret this type of visualization, right? So at the end, so what we actually understand is, so whenever we are trying to go for any visualization, try to focus on what exactly you want to talk about. Correct. It's not always necessary that the more number of charts you try to put in, it is always going to give you more good insights. It's not always necessary. Correct. So it's better that you focus on some particular aspects what you want to target to your data, your insights, of course. Okay, so let's have a look at this concept actually. So whatever we have seen the examples of good visualization, we have seen examples of bad visualization. So finally the conclusion, what we say here, the core fundamental of data visualization, what do you think what it should be? Whether it should be volume, or it should be simplicity, or it should be empathy? Yes, of course. So many of you agree that it should be as simple as it can. Okay. So definitely the core fundamental of data visualization has to be simplicity, of course. Okay. Okay. So just to have a quick, not a recap actually, but just to summarize, I mean, what we have seen is like what is data, of course, and what are the various data stages a data has to go across when it comes to insights. Okay, and then we have seen some different type of visualizations which are helpful for any of data analysis, of course, and then we have seen an examples of good visualization, bad visualization. So of course, so we have done with data, we have done with visualization. The next part is insights, of course. So as you can see here, insights are nothing but it could be something like they are trying to tell us some, it has some shared value, or it has some shared meaning, or it has some shared need. Okay, so insight is basically giving you some idea about what exactly your story is talking about, correct? So that is something about the insights, right? So let's have a look at this. So here, just to understand the insight, we are taking an example here for a Netflix. I hope many of you must be Netflix users here. So normally for Netflix, there is one finding, okay, that there is an hypothesis, or you can say finding, that customers are not watching the entire video actually. They are just watching 90 to 95% of it. So mainly the insight out of this is, what's the insight from this example is, they are not watching the full video because it could be something like because of the title role and the end credits. Okay, so we need to think, I mean, the imagine that Netflix, the CEO or whoever is the strategy policy maker, he has to think upon how to make this achieve this. So the recommendation could be something like introduce a skip intro, okay, at the beginning of title roles, and watch next at the beginning of end credits. So that can be understood by this. So if we want to have the skip the title role, okay, you can skip the skip in, and so that's the utility what they have put in, so that end result of this is something like the user is completely watch the content. Okay, so as to actually see how many users can actually watch the content. Okay, so this is the best part and best example what we can see for an insight, and then how what recommendations accordingly we can have and make use of it. Okay, so as we have talked about all this, so we have talked about data, we have talked about visualization, we have talked about insights. Now come to next interesting factors about storytelling, of course. So whenever storytelling, it's nothing to actually focus and highlight upon the insight to users, to your target audience. Okay, so what does mean is nothing but it's something to get the insight to users, of course, build empathy and access them emotionally. So whenever it's storytelling, whenever you are coming out of the insights and you're telling to the audience or you're presenting to your audience, you should know who is your audience. Of course, that becomes very important. Then know your story, of course, what is the purpose and data of the story. Okay, know your message. So as I said, if you are trying to focus to an insight somewhere like a particular branch not going on well, so that message should be clearly seen from your insight. Okay, and then of course make use of knowing your tools, whatever tools you have been using for achieving your analysis or getting your insights. So let's say, for example, today we are all here to know about Power BI. So Power BI being your tool, you should be knowing the, like, how you are able to get that particular insight. Okay, so these are the four major elements of storytelling, of course. Okay, and of course, why stories? Because stories are emotional, they are memorable, and they are impactful. Now, of course, they are emotional, they are memorable, they are impactful, but of course your analysis should be so strong that you should be in a position to make this story impactful, right? Your insights should be so strong that it should convey a story, of course, and you should be in a position to let the audience know exactly what insights you are trying to focus on. Okay, so that is something we say that stories are impactful, because unless your story or your insights are not impactful, it will not be, it may lead to some no proper decision making. So basically, for a very good decision making, to get a proper business outcome, we need to have the stories impactful, of course. So I hope you have got a fair idea about all that we are talking about, data analysis. Okay, and what about exactly we need to know about the insights in storytelling. Okay, so if you have heard of Gartner, it's like Gartner has been very good leader in analytics and BI platforms. If you can see here, it has almost taken up on Tableau, then of course all the Microsoft applications, like of course Power BI, then they have Sisense, Oracle. So almost everything is there, and so now they are in the leading position as far as the analytics and BI platform is concerned. So that's all about, how companies are actually trying to implement and make use of this analytics and different tools available. Okay, so let's come across the word as Power BI. So, of course, Power BI has been very successfully helpful to people, okay, to get across insights and, of course, creation of the dashboards. So, Power BI is nothing but a collection of software services and apps and connectors that work together to turn your unrelated sources of data into coherent, visually immersive, and interactive insights. Correct. So it is has the capability to connect to any type of data sources, whether it is on premises data source or if your data source is on cloud. So it is able to connect to all of this, correct? And it makes easily available. I mean, you can connect to these data sources easily, as well as at the same time you can have great visualizations and discover what's important and share that with anyone whenever you want. Okay, so that's the flexibility of Power BI, of course. So let's try to understand. Okay, so this is a very good picture here, which is giving a clear idea about what are the different components of Power BI. So when you're talking about Power BI, there are different components which we need to understand here. Okay, so the very foremost important is, of course, the Power BI service. As you can see here, we say it as a cloud-based SaaS. Okay, so it's a cloud-based service. Okay, and it supports light report editing and collaboration for teams and organizations. You can connect to data sources in the Power BI service, but only limitation in the Power BI service could be data modeling. They will have some limitations in data modeling. So as we can see, the Power BI desktop is very good actually. It's a complete data analysis and report creation tool wherein data modeling is successfully achieved. It includes the query editor where you can connect to different sources of data and combine them. So many report designers or developers will work on, actually they will try to use Power BI desktop to create the Power BI reports and then use the Power BI service to collaborate and distribute these reports. So desktop being an important component, of course, Power BI and service. Another thing I would like to highlight here is Power BI service also hosts reports in a workspace. So there is a concept of workspace actually, Power BI service, which is been backed by a Power BI premium capacity. So of course, these are the different components of Power BI. Then we have mobile. Okay, so Power BI mobile apps are nothing but it will offer a set of mobile apps for iOS, Android, and Windows 10 devices. You can connect to and interact with your cloud and on-premises data. So basically, these apps are trying with the help of these apps, you can interact with the shared content on any device. You can view your dashboards. Okay. And then there is one more concept, one more component, which is nothing but the Power BI gateway. So it is a software that is required to access the data situated in an on-premises network. So it's something like it's acting as a gatekeeper for the on-premises data source. Okay. So if anyone needs to access on-premises data from a, let's say, from a cloud or a web-based app, the request has to go through the gateway. Okay. So that's all about the gateway. Then we have another component as REST API. So REST APIs are again nothing but you can, using Power BI REST APIs, you can create apps that integrate with Power BI reports, dashboard, and titles. So with this APIs, it is possible to perform management tasks on Power BI objects like reports, data sets, and workspaces. Okay, so all this is forming the major components of Power BI. So let's see this. So as you can see from here, we can see that any organization data warehouse connecting either or the on-premises data source or its cloud data source. Okay, so that data can be easily accessible through a Power BI desktop, or it could be a service mobile. So with this data, we can actually create different reports, dashboards, okay, and publish it, of course, and keep the planning, on planning, of course. So all these are this is the diagram giving you an overview like how it goes for any organization data house dealing with this different type of Power BI components. Okay, so of course this is again important to understand here. So what you can see here, basically this three is very important: any data, anyway, and anywhere, correct? So that is important to understand. So any data, anywhere, and anyway, so that makes it's very important. So basically what we are trying to say is it connects to a variety of data sources, correct? It connects to either a on premises data source or it connects to a cloud data source. Okay, so Power BI has a feature called as get data, which allows to quickly and easily connect to all of your data. Okay, and the real time dashboards, of course, can be very well created with this. Okay, and many sources have been integrated with Power BI, connecting in minutes. I mean, you can just connect in 5 seconds and all the insights will be ready for you in 5 seconds. So that is quite good. Okay. So for very custom visualizations, then we have something called as the natural language query, which is nothing but it is something like it will give more idea about your analysis. So let's see this later. Okay. So that is all about any data, anyway, and anywhere. Okay, so let's see this. Yeah, and of course, once you have the insights, we have actions. We can people can actually see it through different apps, on and it can be also automated. Okay, so let's see this. This is all giving an idea about what are the different data sources what we have. So as we have seen, there are different data sources. It could be something like GitHub, or it could be Salesforce, or it could be something very simple as a Excel file or a text file, or it could be Power BI desktop files. Okay, so all this is basic form of your data sources actually. And then we are coming across this, which is nothing but giving us an idea about cleaning and mashing your data. Now, as you have seen, and as I have always highlighted and focused more upon, is whenever it is analysis is concerned, it's more important how you're trying to shape or how you're trying to transform, how you're trying to clean your data. So that is very important, because many organizations, they have large volumes of data, but they don't know exactly how they need to transform and clean this data. So that is very important, and of course based on that we have good data modeling. Okay, so of course this is very important, and once we have a shape transformed and cleaned this data, then we have something like define the calculations. So Power BI enables extensive data analysis, enabling to produce rich data models using formulas and relationships. Okay, so here we can actually have some formulas and we can indicate the relationships, we can have some calculations. Okay, and we can have some measures, define calculations, that is nothing but known as measures. So measures are nothing but they are used in some of the good most common data analytics. Like suppose if you want to find the sum or you want to find the average, so that can be all possible through it's something called as a DAX formula, DAX queries. So if you are aware of those who are working more on Excel, and if you are coming across Power Query, actually you would have heard of something called as the DAX queries and DAX formulas. So all that can be done, of course, using Power BI, and that is more advanced as compared to Excel, of course. So all that is all about the preparation of data. Okay, and the next is exploring, where we are trying to achieve more detailed analysis, of course, correct. So detailed analysis in a term like whatever data elements you want to drill down in your hierarchical, or you want to filter or sort. Okay, and there is one utility called as quick insights, which is providing a new ways to help the users to find a hidden insight. So that is of course a very good utility what we have in Power BI, and it allows users to indicate the patterns and trends in data. So that is very good actually. And of course the last one is natural language interface. So with Power BI, we continue to find new ways to simplify how people analyze and gain the insights from this feature, such as the natural query language. Okay, so all that is coming under exploring. You are trying to go into much detailed levels of analysis in short. Okay, with Power BI helps you to do that. And then we have visualization. So of course, when it comes to visualization, there are different types of visualizations. We have different type of charts available. Also we can you can go for some custom visuals being created. Okay, so we are they have also have an ability to add custom visuals into Power BI. So that is also a very good feature actually, I can say. And to help to achieve this, we can have the open source project on GitHub allows to do that. Okay, and we have a feature called as full screen pop out mode for report visuals, so we can look into the details when we are going across the demo. Okay, so that is all about the visuals. You can say a powerful visualization is possible with the help of Power BI, of course. And we are trying to share and collaborate. Now that's also an important aspect actually. So whatever dashboards or whatever reports have been created, we can it can be shared, of course, with the people. Okay, so we have a cross platform native mobile apps, correct. So it can be shared with their data wherever they are. Okay, so in addition to the rich web client, there are native Windows and iPhone, iPod and Android apps that keep the mobile users connected with data wherever they are. Then team collaboration, that's also important. Okay, so the team collaboration is enhanced with the Power BI, integrated with Office 365. Okay, so we can create Office 365 groups so that only the members of this group can view and edit the specific reports and dashboards. So that can be also possible through the team collaboration with Power BI, of course. And you can easily publish to web. Okay, any type of reports or visualizations whatever you have. Okay, so all that is great features being explored by Power BI, of course. Okay, so real time dashboards. So this is something what we have been talking about, right? So basically, this is natural language and all this. So custom visuals, they provide more insights, correct? Then we have solutions from Microsoft and partners, right? And they rapidly build a POC using your own data. Then of course act and automate, it's not just getting the insights, but it's upon trying to automate the action what you can have, correct. Then real time dashboards are of course the best part of our BI what we can have. Then of course the natural language, getting extracting the insights from your data without going through a very complicated query language as such. Okay, and then of course Excel integration, you can pull data from Excel into Power BI and you can take that data from Power BI. Okay, so that's all about the features and what are the different possibilities what we can have with Power BI, of course. So we can deliver insights to deep integration with Excel. So as we can see here, we have some dashboards been created, so they can be very well published to Power BI also. Okay, we can upload or we can export the data. Fine. So as we can see, we can have the real-time dashboards, live dashboards being created, which are actually indicating and giving me some idea about the behavioral trends, what's going about. Okay, so that's very good again. And okay, so today with the demo, we are all going to check upon some of this uh, features actually. So what we are going to see is importing and shaping the data set. Okay, applying aggregation, summarization, applying frequency analysis, setting up interactive visualization, highlighting critical data, adding essential features, configuring the reports. Okay, so let's we have a data set, sales data set. So we are going to look at this, and we are going to look at some of the metrics like total sales, total profit. Okay, and what's the profit ratio, then what are the sales trend. Okay, and then the sales by country, top 10 sales, sales by category, profit by country, filters on top of the page. Okay, so let's try to, okay, I'll stop sharing and we'll start with the demo. Okay, so I hope you have got a fair idea about what all we are talking about and how Power BI is being a very useful tool as of now. Okay, yeah, Shubham. So, of course, I'll be sharing the data set. Okay, so let me start with Power BI. Okay, now, so before getting this data, I will just open the new Power BI file actually. Okay, so this is just a message which we are just trying to ignore. Okay, so this is actually the interface of a Power BI. Okay, so I want to extract the Excel data. So somebody has told me to share this or to show you the data set, how it looks like. So let me first share with you the data set. Okay, so we have an CSV actually, global superstore CSV data. Okay, so we have all this different columns. As you can see here, we have order ID, order date, shipping details. Okay, and then customer name, the customer details. Okay, postal code, and then we have different categories of the product here, then product names, of course. Okay, and the sales. So what we are trying to look at the matrix is total sales. Okay, total profit, and we are going to see the sales by country and by which are the top sale cities. Okay, top 10 sale cities. So let's have a look at this. So to start with this, of course, I'm going to begin with, I'm closing this. Okay, okay, let me share this first, what I have talked about. Okay, so as you can see, the shipping details, order details, you have customer details. Okay, we have the product names, product details, we have sales details, we have profit. Okay, so accordingly we are trying to have some visualizations based on this. Fine, so let's start with give me a minute, I'll just stop this. Okay, so now the very first step is to import this data set. Correct. So the very important step here is, are you able to see, Sadhna? Let's try to import this first, then you'll be able to see this. I hope you are able to see my screen now. So I'm just going in get data. Okay, okay, thanks for the reply. Okay, so I'm going in get data. We are trying to import a CSV. So we go in text CSV. Okay, so as you can see here, there is a global superstore CSV. Say you open. Once you try to import this, okay, so somebody wants to, before going to this, somebody wants to view the data set again. So maybe I can just flash it and I can just zoom it out so that you are able to see it. Okay, so it is giving me some details about shipping details, the customer ID basically, and about the customer details. Okay, it's all talking about different countries, then different regions, different categories. Okay, so Okay. So this finally, I hope you are Shubham. I hope you have got to see the data set. Okay. So let's move on to our Power BI application now. Okay. So let's try to import this. I'm trying to import this CSV. Okay. Global Superstore, say open. Okay. So once you have imported this, it will be showing you with the screen where it's a load and transform. Okay. So now at present, we are not going into this transform data. We are trying to load this data. So transform is something like if you want to rename the columns or change the columns, or you want to add in any other extra columns. So let's first go to try and loading this data. Okay, so once your data has been loaded, you can see this on the left hand side. You can see there is a reporting tool here, and you can see the data and you can see the model. Okay, so let's once you have imported the data, we can see this here. Okay, so all the data has been now imported in my data set. All the whole data set has been imported now. Okay, so once you have done that, we can go to any visualization here. Okay, so we are going to try to create a report now. Fine. So let's try to give some heading to this report. Okay, so I'm going in the text box. We are inserting a text box here, and I'm trying to give some report heading. Okay, so this is basically your report view. At the same time, you can see here on the right hand side, there are some visualizations and there are some filters. So we'll be coming across that. So let's say you want to have some title to this. Okay, so let's have some title to this. I'm saying here sales. Let's have it in caps. Sales analytics report. Fine. So maybe you can change the font size if you want. Okay, select this and change your font size. Okay, and let's say you want to have some color here. You can choose a background color from here. Okay, let's say I'm going for this. Okay, and you want to change the title. You can say here you can see here some utilities as on and off. So if I want to have some font color, I want to change the font color here. So I'll just on this. Okay, and you can directly type in here the title, or you can have a title from here also, and you can change the font color here. Just select this, you can change the font color. Okay, or you can go from here and try to change this. Okay, so once you have done that, fine. Okay, now let's move on to, so these are the properties what you can have for your text. I have inserted a small simple text box here, just giving us some header or a title. Okay, okay, now let's move on to the next. Okay, we want to have a visualization here. So you can see there are different type of visualization. So I'm just going to figure out some of the new ones. So let's start with something called as a card here. Okay, so let's go with this card visualization first. Okay, I'm just trying to make it. Okay, so let's have some title to this. Okay, so as you can see here, you need to on this here. Just a second. I'll try to have the one more. Okay, so I have taken the card visualization here, and I want to see the total sales here. Okay, so let's talk about the total sales. So I'm just dragging the sales in the fields column here. Okay, so this I have the total sales. Okay, so in the fields you can see here, in the field section I have just dragged the total sales, because since we want to find the total sales here, we have dragged the sales column in the fields. Okay, so these are the different properties. Of course, this is the different formatting options that we have with this type of the visualization what we have choose as card. It's nothing but it will give you show the aggregated values actually. Okay, so here let's say we are talking about the title. I want to have some title, so on this, and let's say we want the title as total sales. Okay, and then I want to change the background color of this. Let's say I want this color here. Okay, so it could be the font background color, or it's better to change. So instead of changing this revert to default, we will be changing here this background color here, which will give the background color to whole of your text here. Okay, so this is your final total sales amount. Okay, and if you want to just make it center align, you can make it center align here this way. Okay, so this is your total sales here. You have seen the total sales is something around 12.64. Okay, if you want to have total, let's say we want to also see upon total profit. So I'm just copying this and I'm just putting this. We also have something like copy paste. Okay, so we can just change now, instead of sales we want here profit. Okay, so I'm putting here profit. Okay, so as you can see here, the total profit as somewhere around 1.47, of course. Now let's say for this visualization, this card visualization, let's say I want to have a border. Okay, you can have a border also. So as you can see here, there are different options being seen. Okay, so if you want border, you can have borders to your visualization. So there are different formatting features, of course, which we can go across. So now let's talk about one more visual, which is talking about the matrix. Okay, so let's go to see upon this matrix. Now, matrix is something where you can see the data in a form of rows and columns. So let's say you, for every country, for different countries, you want to view what are the different, what is the total sales and what is the total profit. So before going to that, let's try to have some calculation here. We want to have new measure. We want to create a new measure, which is talking about a profit ratio. Okay, so let's try to go here, something called as a new measure. Okay, I want a new measure here, and as you can see here, I'm giving renaming this measure as profit ratio. Okay, I'm renaming this as profit ratio. Okay, so this is nothing but sum of the profit upon sum of the sales. So let's try to have this formula here, simple formula. Okay, sum of sales, sum of profit, sorry, first we will be having profit. Okay, and just close this bracket upon we are talking about sum of sales. Okay, so let's have sales and just close your bracket and you have an enter here. Okay, so as you can see here, as you can see here on the right hand side in the field section, we have one new measure as a profit ratio. Okay, so we have created a one new measure as a profit ratio. Okay, okay, so let's try to put this in our matrix visual. Okay, so first of all, what I want here is the country. So I like to see the country in rows. So different countries will be seen here. Fine. And then we want to look at the sales. So in the values, I'll have sales here. Okay. So just try to make it more stretch it so that you can see the values. Okay, so let's try to clear this. Okay, so there are no slicers here as of now. And then we are trying to have the profit ratio, of course. Okay, so once I have selected this, your visual should be selected so that you can have, just give me a sec. Okay. Okay, so we have sales. Now we are having the profit ratio here. So we have a profit ratio. Okay. So we have got the sales and profit ratio, of course. Now let's try to look at a very interesting feature of this in the format for a matrix visual. What we can have is something as data labels, of course. Okay, so we have conditional formatting here. So this conditional formatting, if you can see, it's very important here, this in conditional formatting, which is helping us to have the different formats. So before the conditional formatting, let's go to this data bars. Okay, so we have something as a data bars here. So as you can see here, we can easily highlight here which is the most, it will go in a sorted way, like which is the country which is having the highest sales. So you can see the representation, something like this, where you can see all the countries. So it's always good to on this data bars whenever you're going in for, let's say, matrix visual, okay, where you're seeing the actual values. The values can be highlighted, of course. Let's have one more on the profit ratio. Okay, so profit ratio, again I am saying here, I'm on let's on this font color feature. Okay, so let's go in the advanced control. So in the advanced control, what we can see here is you can either format by color scale or you can go by rules here. Okay, so I'm just trying to create a simple rule here. If the value is equal to 0, and okay, so a simple rule, or is equal to less than or equal to 10. Okay, then we are having a color as let's say we are going to have a green color. Okay, so this is, okay, so this is just be careful when you are trying to choose this. Okay, so profit ratio, of course. And there is one more new rule which I want to introduce. So if you want to add any new rule, you can go in the new rule. Okay, and here you are trying to say you want to highlight all the negative values here. Okay, so now before going to this, you can see here there's a percent coming here, and you can see something is going wrong here. See, I want to highlight this message actually to you all. Please check the logic. So what we want to say here is actually we are checking the number. Okay, we are not checking the percent, we are checking the number here. And let's say it's less than 0, then we want to highlight this color as, let's say, red. Okay, so let's say okay to this. So as you can see, the colors are highlighted here. So which is very much possible with the very good feature, very good visual as the matrix visual. Okay, so these are some of the changes what we have done. Fine. So if you want to have some title to this, okay, so if you want to have a title to your visual, once you have done this, you can just close this so that it's no more confusing for you all. Okay, so I'm going in title. So if you want to have some title to this visual, so let's try to have a visual title as sales. Okay, sales by country. Fine. Okay, so this is the title what we have given to this visual. So all we are ready with this sales by country matrix visual, where is giving me an idea about the different countries and their sales and profit ratio. Okay, so let's move on to one more interesting now, the other visual, as let's try to see the sales and profit by city. So I'm trying to have this clustered column chart here. Okay, and in this we are trying to incorporate the CT here now. Okay, so on the axis I have here CT. Okay, and then we have sales. Okay, values, we have sales, and we, let's say I also want to check up on the profit. Okay, so as you can see here, the different countries and the profit can be seen here. Fine. So now, instead of looking at all the countries here, I just want to see the top 10 cities. Okay, so sales by city. So let's try to have this utility here. If you can see here, there are filters. Okay, sorry. So in the filters we can apply something called as basic filtering, which, in if I select anything, I can select the specific city here. But instead of that, I want to see the top 10 cities by sales and profit. Basically by sales actually. Okay, so I'm going to say her top 10. Okay, and by what major you want to say that it's the top 10 city? By, let's say, by sales. Okay, so once I apply the filter, I'm here only, is giving me an idea about the top 10 cities here. Okay, so let's have some title so that it gives me more idea what it's all talking about. So let's have a title to this. Okay, so I'm trying to change this, and instead I'm going to say your sales by city. Okay, and let's say top 10. Fine. So we have sales by city, top 10 cities which has the highest sales. Fine. Okay, so let's move on to next. See, I can close, I can open, it can be expanded or it could be collapsed. Okay, so for the timing, I'm just making it, collapsing it so that I can. So this is, in short, we are trying to create a dashboard, a kind of report which is trying to built in all our visuals here. Okay, so there are different type of reports in your one dashboard as such. So next we are trying to look at, let's say, sales by category. Okay, so I'm trying to have a visual called as pie chart. So it's always better to have a border to this. So let's try to have a border for this one. Okay, so once you have the border, it becomes more good to see this. Okay, let's go to another visual now. Okay, let's try to have a pie chart. Okay, one more visual where I'm trying to see the sales by category. Okay, so we have one more as category here. So let's try to have this category, and let's try to have the sales. Okay, so as you can see here, we have sales by category, which is giving me a clear picture about, the different categories and how they are performing well. So if you can see here, technology, furniture is almost capturing the most of it. Okay, so let's have some title to this. So again, to go to the title, I am going to the option as format here. Okay, and we are changing the category. I'm just making it in caps actually. Sales by category. Fine. So you can, once you come across this, you can of course go on exploring all these options. You can change all these options, of course, and then we can go in border. It's good to have a border here. Okay, so that's all about sales by category. Now let's try to have one more usual as, let's say, countries. I am trying to use a visual wherein you can see different countries and the profits by different countries. Okay, so let's try to have the visual as map. As you can see here, we are going to map. Okay, so let's try to have this map based by, so whenever it's a map, you will have a location, latitude, longitude, all this. Okay, so let's try to look at, we want it by country. Okay, so we say by country, and let's say we want to have You can define a size dimension here. So maybe I say by profit. Okay, so you can see the bubble chart kind of bubbles, and the different countries how they are trying to show up on this. So if I say North America, United States is almost around 28 something 6397. Okay, so almost a large part of US been occurring the profit actually. So these are the different ways, correct? So this is the best usual to actually interpret how is the profit going on by for different countries. So at a glance you can make out, yes, US going on very well actually. Okay, so we can have different styles to this visuals. So the bubbles, if you want, you can increase the size here. Okay, so of course we can have some title to this, we can have a border, we are trying to have the border to this. Okay, and let's try to change the style of this. Okay, so as you can see the map styles here. Okay, these are the different maps style here. So let's say I want a gray scale, suppose. So I can have this gray scale, so that actually what you want to highlight, it's been highlighted in a more good way. So I have just changed the background to gray actually. Okay, so I hope you are finding this very interesting. Actually, it's really good. And at a fraction of second, I can create the visual so fast and so lively. You can really understand what the results are and what are the insights actually. So it's always good to, it's really useful. Okay, so I can see some of the questions here. So let me see some of the questions. Okay, how to have sales by category. So Nisreen has a question, how to have sales by category for the top 10 city which we selected in previous plot. So Nisreen, we can definitely go here and you can have your sales by category, correct? And you can go by the sales and you have something called as, sorry, category here. You can have the basic filtering here, correct? And you can go for the top. Okay, so whenever you want to go for any top 10 or any top value to be checked at, you can definitely go under this option here. Fine. So I hope I have tried to answer your question, Nusreen. Thank you so much. Then Yuns, then we have a question. Do you consider any exchange rate on the sales data? Of course, we can consider any exchange rate, but that will be based on how is your data set, correct? Okay, so Shubham wants to paste the data set here. Okay, Shubham, maybe later I try to put that. Fine. So thanks all of you for your questions here. Okay, so let's try to look upon one more as, let's say I want to create one more of this, or we can have one more of a sales trend. If I want to try to look at a sales trend here, so one more visual. Let's say we have a line chart. Okay, we have a line chart here. So let's try to fit this line chart here. Okay, and make it move this. Okay, so I'm trying to look at the sales here. Okay, so we have a sales. Okay, sales values. Fine. And let's say we are trying to look by order date. Okay, so the interesting fact here, see, when I say order date, it will give me the different, we want this to look at by year, we want to look at by quarter, or you want to look by monthly, or you want to look by a day basis. So let's try to put in here as year and month. Okay, let's try to have a year and month here. Fine. And let's try to look in by the trained analysis. So let's go to the format so that I can change some of this. So as you can see here, y-axis is by default, it's on here. So let's try to have the, suppose if I say data labels on, it will be something like this, which is giving me a more picture about how this line is trending on. Okay, so currently I don't want this, so I'm trying to off this. Fine. And of course we can change the title here. Okay, so let's try to change the title. Suppose we want in cap sales trend. We are giving a new name as sales trend. Okay, so we have this sales trend here. Now you can see here we have different type of you can see some arrows here, correct? There are two arrows, which is nothing but we are saying that we drill down into more deeper level. So now if you can see, I have here, we are considering year and month. Okay, so we have year now. So let's try to go to the next level. So it will go, try to go by month here. So this is the trend what you can see in the month. So if you can see here in Jan, it is this. Okay, it has been more in June. So you can see the trend here. So the interesting fact here for the line type of visual here is we can go here in format. Sorry, not in format, in this. Okay, that is analytics. So as you can see, the magnifier indicating analytics, we can go here for inserting a mean line or a max line. So let's say suppose I want to add this mean line. Okay, you can see here the mean line has been added. Fine. Then we have something for, once you have done this, this just collapse this, then we are going to max. Okay, I'm adding the max line also to this. Fine. And one more what we have here is okay, so this is the percentile max line what we have all talked about. Okay, average line. So once we have done with this, I'm just putting up this. Okay, we don't want any median line or constant line or average line. Don't want this. Okay, in the constant line or this, we don't want this one. So we are not going into all the details of this. Okay, then we have average line also, but we are not going into details of average line of course now. Okay, percentile. So that is all about what we have talked about this one. Okay, so let me select this. So we have also added the mean line here. Okay, we have just done with the max line here. Percentile we don't want here. Okay, so that is all about. I'm trying to have the border to this. So I'm trying to change this to the border. Okay. Okay, fine. So this is the way we can have the sales screen. Okay. And now the interesting part here is let's look at the different type of slicers here. Okay. Now the slicers are actually best used to filter your data, right? So slicers are best used to filter the data. So we are going to have three slicers here. Okay, so we are going to have a country slicer, we are going to have a year, and we are going to have a month. So let's have a one slicer as, okay, so whenever try to see that you are not into any of this visual selected. Okay, so in this slicer, I'm trying to put first by country. Okay, so trying to put this. Now, as you can see, this slicer, we can have a drop down. We can have a list. So let's go to drop down here. And I'm trying to fit this into our area here. So this is all about the country. Okay, so let's try to make it more little bigger. Okay, so this is the country slicer which we have done with the country and look accordingly. So the interesting fact here when we are talking about this slicer country, so if I select, let's say I'm selecting for Afghanistan, I'm going to see the data only for Afghanistan. Okay, and if you don't want this, just try to filter it out. You can see by all of it. Okay, so that's the interesting fact what we have for the slicers, right? So similarly, we are going to have one more, that is nothing but one more slicer is for the year. So let's try to have, sorry, let's try to have a slicer by, let's say, date. Okay, so order date. So as you can see here, order date, when I select, you can have a date hierarchy. When you say date hierarchy, it will show you all the different options available with the date, correct? It could be yearly, it could be quarterly, it could be monthly. So now I just want the year. So I'm just taking here year as of now. Okay. And the same thing, we want to have it as a drop down here. So let's put it as a drop down and try to shape it accordingly here. And we are going to put this somewhere here. Okay, so we have one more slicer as year. Let's have one more slicer now. So let's say I have one more slicer for, let's say, month. Okay, so same thing. I'm again going to take here order date. So same thing for order date. You can go for a date hierarchy because I want to go under different options, as I want to select the month now. Okay, so we are going for the month. We are more interested in month now. So let's have a month. So you can see here month, and then we can, okay, we can have a drop down. Okay, so I think there is a message in the chat box there, which is good if you all looked at it. Your data set will be shared with everyone at the end of the webinar. Okay. Okay, so we have a month here. Okay, so all the slicers have been done here. So I can have country, we can have the month. So if let's say I'm selecting for the month of March. Okay, so I can see all the charts uh, will be changing accordingly. It will show me the data for the month of March. You don't want this, just clear out the filter. Okay, and similarly, let's say if I want here 2013, we are having the data for 2013. So it's going to change accordingly. Okay, so these are the different ways we can have the visuals and we can have the different charts, of course. So I hope you are able to get a some fair idea about how we are going about. Of course, this is, you'll not be an expert in one day. Of course, you need to explore more on this. But it has, I hope it has given you an idea like how you, what are the different types of visuals and how we can go about doing this. Okay, so Nisreen has a question. Are these plots dynamic or static? So, of course, that's a good question. Currently, this is more on a static basis actually, because we don't have some live data here. Okay, so it's more on static because it's based on a static data source, which is a plain Excel CSV. Okay, so let's imagine you are connecting to some live server or anything, any other data source on cloud or something. You can, of course, have a real time and dynamic dashboards, of course. Okay, so I hope, Nisreen, you're clear with this. Fine. So, yeah, so that's all about creating different visuals. So, I would just like to highlight here one part was the data labels as such. So if I'm selecting this, let's say sales by city top 10, and if you are going by data labels, okay, so data labels are nothing but which will indicate the particular values. Okay, so data labels are also good to use. Yeah, of course, Vignesh, you can try doing that, but in that case, when you are trying to actually connect to the live share market data source, okay, then it is of course possible to create a very live dashboard, of course. Yes, yes, of course. Yeah, Nisreen, yes, right. If you are connected to cloud-based data set, these plots are more dynamic in nature, of course. Yes. Okay, so I hope you have got a clear some idea about how we are going about following these visuals, and of course each visual has a different feature to look upon. And once you have this visual been created, it's good to create some formatting options, of course, to check upon some of the different formatting options which have been which we have seen, as we have seen for a matrix type of visual like sales by country. it was good to highlight, because when you see at a glance, you can make it out. Oh, United States has the highest sales, and at a glance, I can make out. Oh, Philippines has a very bad profit ratio. So this is really very good. Okay. So yeah, and there is one more question I can see from Mohammed. Okay, any suggestions for approaching industry professionals to get into this field as data analyst? Yeah, of course, Mohammed. Suggestions is like, what I can say. Analyst being, analyst is someone. I mean, analysis can be carried out either in a very simple tools like, of course, Excel and SQL. But as if you are going for more advanced, like let's say data scientist or something, you need to have some extra knowledge on R and all this. But of course, for any of this, as a data analyst, you need to understand the different analysis techniques you should be aware of. Okay. And of course, some of the basics of data analytics as we have seen. Okay. So I hope that answers your question, of course, Mohammed. And it's very important whenever it's analytics is concerned, you need to understand a bit of domain knowledge. If you have it, it's more better, but if not, it's okay. As far as you can explore your data set quite good. Like we have taken an example here, it just was a data set for a global superstore, which was giving an idea about the different countries and the different their sales and their overall profit. Correct. Sorry, here we need to change the title. Very sorry here. It's total profit what we are trying to look at. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's really important to understand. So as I said, no one is going to be an expert in just one day. So it's really good to have go through the data workflow, trying to understand every and each stage how your insights can be more good and how you can have powerful data stories, impactful data stories, of course. Okay. Okay, I think it's Adrita wants to say, can you also give a demo of real time dashboard? Adrita, actually, sorry, but today it's not possible here because we don't have the data set at such live data set. But of course, you can, if you want to have more knowledge, or you can, of course, approach us. Okay. Okay, then there is one more question I can see from Mohammed. Okay, so Mohammed, you're currently working on projects, and I'm not from a CS background. Okay, okay, I understand. Find many ask for experience in the file. I'm looking for opportunities, but so Mohammed, actually, I think you want to have to start as a data analyst. Of course, I mean, as I said, it can be, you can very well start with at such as with this Excel and SQL if you have the basic. But of course, with as you have all looked into Power BI, of course, you can start looking more into detail for this. Of course, it is giving you a very good idea and very good insights at a glance and very easily available, of course. So I think Power BI, knowing Excel and knowing SQL is good to have a start as a data analyst, of course. And okay, there is a question from Devendrian, like for analyzing the data, machine learning and deep learning are necessary. A bit of it. I mean, if you are more interested to look at that, it will is going to something called as deeper insights, of course, is but I don't think it's like mandatory to have the machine learning and deep learning, of course. Okay, it's not mandatory, of course, need not have uh, to know all this. But of course, you need to have some basics of analysis. Of course, you need to know how the roadmap for data analytics goes about. Okay, so it's not always necessary to have machine learning or deep learning, of course. I hope I have tried to answer you, Devendra. Okay, we have a question from Ashutosh. Yeah, can we move to data scientist to engineer from data analyst? Okay, so as I said, data scientist, to be more honest, you should be more on R and Tableau or anything. I mean, you should be more on R actually. So because R, Python, all these tools are more good to go about with data scientists as such. Because data analyst is someone who is just trying to, interpret like what are the insights, but data analyst scientist is someone who is trying to further determine what will be the more good predictive analysis can be carried out. So data scientist is more into deeper levels, of course. Okay, so the more good for data scientists could be R or somewhere, something like that. Okay, so thanks Ashutosh for your question here. And Rajesh has a question: can Power BI outperform Tableau in performance aspects? Okay, so to be, I mean, of course, I cannot say outperform Tableau, but of course, Power BI is more easily available. See, Tableau is more expensive, as Pranjal has also explained in the beginning. Tableau is the most expensive tool for any organization to go in for, whereas Power BI is easily available. And as we have seen the different components, we have Power Apps, we have Power BI Service. So all this is making Power BI more transparent, and it can be seamlessly used actually. So I think Power BI is really good actually to certain aspect. Okay, and okay, Aarti wants to say that which is the best tool for Power BI. So I think Aarti, you are trying to actually look at what are the different I mean, like comparing which is more good. So I think it's Power BI desktop, which can create interactive dashboards, and it will be a really a good tool to be used for. And for a beginners, of course, it will be really good to have. So I think Aarti, I have answered your question. Then yeah, what are the basic courses in which we have to be perfect to be a data analyst? Okay, Adi, to be very, I mean, it's no, I can answer this something like, you can have basic, of course, Excel will be the most simplest and most basic, of course, and then you can have SQL, of course, and that should be enough actually. I'm saying enough, but to be more better than this, of course, we have now Power BI, and we have R, and we have Tableau, so that could be also good to be a data analyst. But as I said, uh, using these tools can be a part of it, but of course you need to understand what are the different types of data analytics techniques also at the same time. Okay, so Mohammed has a question like, okay, so Arti, I could see that you're preparing for Python. So I think that's a really a very good start then, Arti. I think you're going on with Power BI, you're going on with Python. That's a very good start for data analyst, of course. And Mohammed has a question, Tableau or Power BI? Looking at the current industry, I'm learning Tableau. Okay, so Tableau is also good in a way, but of course, the more in demand would be, as I said, it's like portability wise and good to use, and for the users use, it's better to more preferably it's better to go in for Power BI, of course, and that would be my answer, Mohammed, actually. And Ashutosh wants to have a difference between data analyst and business analyst. Okay, data analyst is basically you're checking upon different metrics, and you're checking upon like more upon how is the data flow. And business analysis is something coming on the strategies, or some some kind of, sorry, some kind of the architecture what we can talk about, that is more about a BA kind of role. So is more into uh, talking about what are the different strategical solutions, or what we can try to improvise on. So that is which role should I best off for. Of course, as you are going, the as an initial beginner, I think it's good to go about as a data analyst, of course, because it's something giving a more idea about what's the data, and how what are the different roadmaps need to take care of as of a data analyst. And business analyst is something which is a different domain kind of, I can say. It's more on talking more on business, like how business can grow more. And data is something which you're all more on the tools. So Ashutosh, I can say business data analyst can be more powerful with technical skills as such. Okay, and business analyst is more good on the domain side as such. Okay, you need to, for let's say for a banking, if you're going for any banking role or a banking BA, you need to be aware of those different financial terms and terminologies, which a data analyst may not, because data analyst is finally giving you to give you the insights only. So of course it depends on your interest and your exploring knowledge. But there is of course a great difference between the data analyst and business analyst, of course. Okay, I hope Ashutosh, I have answered your question. And okay, wow, Sharmila, yeah, Sharmila wants to say that this is a very good startup for Power. Thanks, Sharmila. Okay, and yes, any free download version of Power BI that could be used to start with? Yes, of course, you can go on the Microsoft and you can search for Power BI desktop download. It's free, of course. Uh, yeah, so Power BI is free. Is Microsoft is allowing you, is giving you a version, but it's free is like how you have a trial version. So you need to have a license for this, of course. Can Power BI be able to publish in web application? Yes, Power BI can be used to do that. Chris, okay. Okay, yeah. So thanks, I think all of you, and it was really good to have conduct the workshop for you, and I'm very thankful for your time today. Of course, it was really good to interact with you all and getting to know you all more better. And of course, as I have said, the actually the I mean it, for data analytics, it's you can hear of different tools, and you know you need to be aware of different technologies, and you go on hearing uh, different aspects. I mean, this is very important at the end of the day, like a particular tool, how you're trying to use it. So of course, Power BI is going to be the most in demand tool. What's going to be the next, of course. And if you know it, if you want to know it better, it's always good to explore more and more. So today what we have covered is just an overview about an overview about basics of Power BI, I can say. But of course, it's really very, very good and useful. I can say I can recommend you to go more into details of it, of course. And for that, you can, of course, refer to our Altius, and you can, of course, refer to us. And if you have really liked today's session, you can like our pages. Okay, so yeah, so I think that's all from the questions what we have. Any questions from your side? Yes, any questions are appreciated from your side, if any. I hope I not all and not to the full extent, but I hope I could answer some of your questions. Okay, Nikhil is saying that yes, I think yes, you will have a recording. Okay, no worries. It was good interacting with you. So, as I said, if you want to have anything more, you want to know more about this, you can definitely try to contact us or like our pages, of course. Okay. So, yeah. So, that's all what I would like to say. Thank you, everyone, for your time today. And let me know if you have any questions further. Yeah, Mohsin. So, the data set, we will try to, of course, share with you all the data set soon. Okay. Just give me a moment. Yeah, so any questions, please let me know if there are any questions from your side. Yes, thank you. I can see many thanking messages. So thank you, everyone. We are also thankful to you for taking your time and getting to know more on Power BI, of course. So thank you all. Yes, thank you, Victor. So, yes. Yeah, so I'm just waiting for any questions further. I'm just waiting for any questions you have. So Mohsin wants to say, okay, we can of course conduct more workshops. Of course, you can approach us. We can have those workshops. Of course. Thanks, Mohsin, for that. Thanks. Yes. Okay. So any further questions? Anything you have any? Okay. So there is one question from Victor. Do I need computer programming language to become a data analyst? I can say not exactly a computer programming language, but of course, as I said, it would be good to have it. Okay, it would be good to have it, of course, because if you are going for anything, something like advanced SQL. Now, basics of SQL, of course, need not have some good programming language, or Excel also do not need to have a good computer programming language, of course. Okay, so it's not very mandatory, but of course, if you have it, it's more good. It's more good, of course, but it's not always mandatory to have the computer programming language. So having said that, if you're trying to apply for any job role as a data analyst and you don't have any computer programming knowledge, it's not necessary that you have it. So totally, it's not mandatory to have the computer programming language. Okay, so Devendran has is there any certificate for attending the workshop? Okay, I think well, I'm not totally aware of this. Let me check out. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Victor. Thank you for that. Yes, so any further questions? So if you're really interested to know more about it, of course you can approach us. Okay, you can definitely approach us, and we are here to help you out, of course, and to guide you. So I hope you find us really interesting, and I hope that you have this a small idea and small overview has increased your uh, temptation to go in for learning more of Power BI, of course. Okay, so Ashutosh has a question. I'm considering online page in business analyst of 1 year. Should I go for it? Online pages in business analyst. Business analyst of 1 year. Should I go for it? Yeah, of course. I mean, Ashutosh, you can very well go for it. Of course, I think it's good. Good to go for that. Okay. Online postgraduate program. So as I said, I mean there are different programs and there are different certifications available, of course. So whereas a business analyst will be a program which will be basically talking all about the business domains and the different type of techniques, and I think it will not be more on technical side as such. Okay, but of course, if you are interested, you can go on doing that. And Devendrian, that's only for proof to my college, ma'am, because I'm a class from 9, that's why. Okay, Devendrian, I'm not exactly trying to get you actually. What does you try to mean by that? Okay. Yeah, if you want, Devendrian, you can just brief upon what you want exactly wants to say. For proof to my college, ma'am. Okay, okay. So certification, yeah, exactly. I mean, of course, that certification is going to add weightage to your job profile as such. So of course, it's going to add weightage to your job profile. So it's good to have the certification, of course. Unless getting the certification is okay, but it's very important at the end of the day how you are actually trying to implement it. Okay, So that's also important part of your certification, of course. So just getting a certificate is of course important, but it's important to know how you're actually trying to apply it, of course. Yeah, Devendra, I think I have tried to answer your question. Thanks for that. Yeah, any further questions? Okay, so yeah, Ashutosh, you're saying you want to move from data analyst to business analyst. If I go for data analyst initially, yeah, of course you can very well do that. You can very well move from a data analyst to business analyst. In fact, in a way, it's good to make a move in that way, because for a business analyst, of course, it's good to have a data analyst knowledge kind of. So it's good to first go in with data analyst kind of role and then go for the business analyst. But as I said, if you it depends on you, of course. And there are two different roles what we can see as a data analyst and a business analyst, which is focusing on two different areas as such. So business analyst more focusing on the business trends and understanding the business scenarios. So if you are interested in it, of course you can go for that. But as I said, you can initially very well make a start with data analyst, of course. Okay, so any questions? Yeah, any questions, anyone? Okay, so I think I have tried to answer most of your questions. If not, you can just let me know.